Hey, thanks to all of you who have come here today to really learn about what's really happening at the Erie International Airport. As Christine mentioned, my name is Brian Slavin. I'm on the airport board, and I'm fortunate to have our president, Dan Gianelli, who we'll introduce in just a second, as well as our executive director, Derek Martin. So a little bit about what's happening today. This is a question and answer period. We're not going to do a whole lot of presentation. We'll start with a little bit, but it's about questions, and hopefully we're going to provide some good answers to give you more information about what's really happening, not the rumors, not the trolls, the actual facts. And so my request of you is, if we can keep this non-political, if you can keep your statements to questions, as Christine mentioned, succinct and brief, we will move forward. And if you can't do that, I'll help you. So thanks for being here. Of the 250,000 people in Erie County, you have decided to come here today, and we appreciate that. So I'd also like to introduce you to our board members. I've already introduced Dan. Aaron Kerner is in the back. Aaron, thank you for being here, serial entrepreneur. And we have these 9 members of our community who are putting all of their best brain power and all their best efforts into making Erie the airport we all are working towards and working for. So we've talked to literally hundreds, probably verging on 1,000 citizens, about what they really, really want from their airport. And so a few truths. Erie can be an economic center of gravity for Northwest Pennsylvania and Northeast Ohio. We're not there yet, but we can be. Enhanced air service is an economic imperative. This isn't about getting more fun, cool planes to go to more fun, cool places. It is that. But it's about the business that gets created and the advancements of our community when we do this right. Air service is not an entitlement. It's a market-driven opportunity. So anything that you thought about air service prior to March of 2020 has changed. The entire environment has changed, from business models to how airplanes, airlines, air crew, maintenance, fuel, everything has changed. We're going to talk a little bit about that. In the US, there are 19,400 airplane and seaports. Only 406 have air carrier service. 300 of those 406 have lost some or all of their air carrier service since 2020. This is not an Erie thing. This is an industry thing, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. To be 100% clear, if you do not fly out of the Erie Airport, you do not pay for the Erie Airport, period. Your tax dollars do not go to the operations of the Erie Airport. You'll hear that 4 or 5 times today, and I hope that you take that message with you out into the world. $0 of taxpayer money goes to the operations of the Erie Airport. The pre-pandemic aviation industry will never exist like it did again. Never. Never. Flights from Erie to other regional cities or other short-haul routes are gone forever. Forever. We are not going to have flights from Erie to Cleveland or Pittsburgh. It's not going to happen. And that's not my opinion. That's industry experts' opinions. And we'll introduce you to some of those industry experts in a bit. And finally, the Fly Erie Fund will provide our airport and all of us an economic advantage. We're going to talk at great length about the work that Jake Rao, James Grunke, and other members of the chamber have done to build a platform in which we can really get our own future in our own hands. So we have a very simple mission. Fly Erie first. A lot of detail in that. We'll talk about it in a bit. And the goal, it's super simple. More planes to more places. Again, we're going to open up the floor to questions, and I ask that you keep them apolitical, not personal, and an interest in the facts. And again, I'll help you if you can't get there on your own. So let me first introduce Derek Martin, who's the Executive Director of the Erie International Airport. Derek has an incredible amount of experience that he is deploying to the advantage of our community. One thing, but there are dozens. When Derek arrived here in 2018, our budget was out of control. Our operations were out of control. Illegal things were happening on our airport that put the entire facility at great risk. Derek fixed all that. Derek also took a lot of arrows for that, and we'll tell you more later. Dan Gianelli is our board president. Dan is an IT expert, an IT specialist. He's been on the board since 2015, and that's me. You're clapping for Derek, right? All right. So again, we've talked to literally thousands of people, well, literally hundreds of people, probably thousands of people by this point. And we believe these are the questions that the community is interested in finding answers to. So, without further ado, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Someone with a microphone will come to you, and you can ask your question. That person in the dark blue right there. And if you'll stand up and say your name, please.
Jordan Fuller. Brian and Derek, based on your assessment, what's the largest challenge currently facing the airport, and what work is going on to fix that?
Well, that's a great question, and there's a lot to dig out, but let me just address it quickly, and then I'll pass it to Derek. The mission, fly Erie first. The goal, more planes to more places. We're focused on making absolutely certain that when you're flying out of Erie, you choose Erie first. Most of the time, if you look to fly out of Erie, with enough time and enough, savvy, you can find a very competitively priced flight to nearly everywhere. And especially when you add in the actual costs of driving to Cleveland, Pittsburgh, or Buffalo. Again, teaser for later. We have some numbers for you. So Jordan, thanks for the question. Fly Erie first, and more planes to more places. Derek, you want to add anything to that?
So one of the biggest challenges that's facing not just Erie, but all airports in general is what's happening in the economy and what's happening to Boeing in particular. So Boeing, I say when Boeing sneezes, the industry catches a cold. So this past year, United Airlines had delivery potential of 185 aircraft. Those 185 aircraft were supposed to go into United's fleet. They're only going to receive 61 of those aircraft. Why does that matter? Low-cost carriers that we're also courting are trying to pick up the used aircraft that United's trying to get rid of. So it's a domino effect. So United can't plan the way they wanted to. The low-cost carriers can't plan for expansion and growth because they don't have access to equipment. And because of that, those challenges have an effect on not only Erie, but other locations around the United States who are trying to enhance air service since the global pandemic.
Any follow-on to that? Otherwise, we'll just keep moving on. Sir. And if you can, stand, but please state your name.
My name is Howard Wright.
Hi, Howard.
What airports would you like to fly to if your wildest dreams came true?
That's a
Since
really
there's-
great question.
Since there's not going to be any flights to Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Buffalo, where would you like to fly?
Yeah, so why don't we click here. Derek, can you walk through the state of the industry? Oh, before he does that, some of you may have seen or will be seeing an announcement that the U.S. Customs Global Entry Program has selected the Erie Airport, amongst several others, to do their, it's in June, middle of June.
June 11th through the 13th.
Yeah, where you can go and get onto the Global Entry Program. I'd encourage you to do that. That'll be posted on various social media and also in the paper here, I imagine, the next few days. So Derek, would you please walk us through this?
So people think there's an abundant airlines out there. So these are divided into three categories: network carriers, which are American, United, and Delta. Those are called legacy carriers. Delta in 2009 had 5,500 CRJ-200 planes. That was the plane that flew into Erie. They made the determination back in 2009 that plane was not viable for the future. The production of that plane only lasted about 10 years. For example, the 747-200, the plane that Air Force One is for years, that plane has had production for 54 years. You can see the short time frame, so that plane was not viable. So that was one of the things that Delta did. United Airlines is the other legacy carrier that we had, and they fly the same 50-passenger jet. American has been a little slower than getting rid of them. They're currently trying to get bigger planes to help bring to Erie. We're looking forward to. So our target airlines are obviously Delta and United as we move forward. But we look at that middle category, the low-cost carriers. We got Southwest, JetBlue, Alaska, and Hawaiian. So you asked, sir, where we want to go. There might be somebody in here that wants to go nonstop from Erie to Hawaii. I don't think that's going to happen. so they're not at play. Alaska would be the same thing from here to Anchorage. JetBlue basically is an East Coast carrier. And then Southwest, this market is too small for them. So there's 7 other carriers left, a total of 13. There's 3 air carriers that we're talking to pretty exclusively right now. We've had inquiries the last week from 2 of them about our market and what we're doing. And so we continue to have dialogue with that. What we want to do is maximize where the majority of people want to go. So one of the things the airport did, we hired a consultant. That consultant was important from the standpoint they were able to produce some information that we don't readily have available, but they could purchase and give to other people. So for example, they did a second home study. Erie people have abundance of second homes down in Palm Beach, Florida. We have more second homes out of this community than other communities that have nonstop service. If we were trying to do that on our own, take that data and buy that data, it would have cost us $75,000. By working with a consultant, that package to us that was given to multiple air carriers to show the true numbers that we have cost us $7,500. So we use consultants to basically maximize the opportunity to move things forward.
So in the response to the dynamics